Topecon, hello, I am Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic.com and welcome to all the WTF moments from last night's installment of Dynamite. And once again, under the circumstances, it was a good episode, wasn't it? But my main takeaway from last night was the great use of promo packages that meant the show didn't rely far too much on the action inside the ring. Quite frankly, give me a lot more technique by Taz, although there was also great stuff from Jake Roberts, of course there was, and Britt Baker as well, who continues to be totes amazeballs. That's a thing some people say. But as for the professional wrestling itself, Hager versus Moxley, that was all kinds of old school / MMA. I liked its balls. Lance Archer is really strong. Pineapple Pete and Sammy Guevara had a great little match. And Penelope, she's really good at doing the wrestling in leather pants. Hit the intro, man, up there. WTF! Right then, so when I heard Colt Cabana turn into a right Mr. Sassy Pants by saying, well, you're all saying Lance Archer's been dominant in Japan. Well, I've been dominant in Japan, in China, in Australia, in Timbuktu, everywhere, because I'm Colt Sassy Pants. But when I heard that, and considering I know absolutely nothing about the professional wrestling, I was all like, what? A hell no? Huh? Hold up, you might have been the same, you might not, but such is the world. But it turns out that pretty much Lance Archer and Colt Cabana's runs in Japan were quite similar, maybe not, maybe, who knows? While Lance Archer was dominant in a tag team with Davey Boy Smith Jr., it turns out that Colt Cabana was dominant in a tag team with Toru Yano, or something. I did a Google me, haha! That's the same thing, right, isn't it? It might not be, because of course even I know that Lance Archer won an IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship and Colt Cabana didn't. So maybe, just maybe, Colt Cabana's sassy pants are a WTF moment. And what a slap to the man titties that lower third is right there for Mr. Peter Avalon and Mr. Brandon Cutler. Put some respect on their names, please, AEW. Peter Avalon, he reads some books, and Brandon Cutler, he's got some really nice entrance gear. Now, there's no doubt about it that Mr. Colt Cabana, he is a really hard bastard. But right at the start of his match on last night's Dynamite against Lance Archer, of course, there was a huge WTF moment. You see, you get an unadulterated brick poo house like Lance Archer. He's massive, he delivers, a stiff, a rigid, a girthy forearm right to your face. And I'm sorry, Colt Cabana, but your reaction has got to be more than just, what? You mean to tell me you don't have any more chicken sandwiches? That's all he did. Colt didn't even go, oof, you bastard, like we all do for much, much, much less. And I know all of us watching this video were not as hard as Colt Cabana, but surely Colt Cabana isn't as hard as that reaction from Colt Cabana would suggest Colt Cabana actually is. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. He should have sold it more, in my opinion. So here is Britt Baker on last week's Dynamite. Here is Britt Baker following last week's Dynamite. And here is Britt Baker on this week's Dynamite. And when we saw Britt Baker emerge from the entrance thing on this week's Dynamite, I was left asking, was last week's match against Shida recorded after this week's match against Cassandra Golden? Or is Britt Baker as good at healing as she is being an arsehole dentist? All you doctors out there, let me know. All I'm saying is Britt Baker healed really, 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 really quickly, especially when you consider the match against Shida and the match against Golden would have been recorded, I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying this, they were recorded during the same batch of wrestling match tapings. Ortiz's bedroom, that. You didn't see it coming either, did you? And there is one word to surmise my reaction when I saw Chris Jericho do that. Triggered! But thankfully, some world-class Steven Spielberg-esque editing made sure that spillage wasn't there for long. But upon viewing that, we all realised that Le Champion, Chris Jericho, does not drink freshly squeezed orange juice. So take that, Orange Cassidy. I still don't have any toilet paper. Can't you find me some? said Chris Jericho down the phone to his assistant. And when Chris Jericho said that, I was thinking, you people in the American land, you're still hoarding, are you? How 4 or 5 weeks ago of you, man? Just calm down, there's still plenty to go around, don't panic man, it's going to be fine. And next up we've got to mention those fake crowd noises that were especially prevalent during that Sammy Guevara promo. Were they supposed to be ironic? If you've ever played WWF Attitude on the PlayStation 1 or other 1990s gaming consoles, you know what we were hearing during that Sammy Guevara promo. In my opinion, those fake crowd noises, they did not work for me whatsoever, but I am also a professional wrestling fan who struggles with no noise in empty arenas, so I don't know what to think. I can't be pleased. That is a wrestling fan. And next up we have Le Champion Chris Jericho, who was once again fantastic on commentary. Is there nothing that man can't do apart from pour a glass of orange juice? But he said to Big Dick Tony Schiavone, Big Dick Tony Schiavone, a straight splitting leather pants, Tony, it's just like you in the 70s. Tony Schiavone? In the 70s? In leather pants? Doing the splits? Just take a second to sit down and think about that image. Wow! And then we had edibles getting mentioned on AEW Dynamite. We learned from Big Dick Tony Schiavone that you can buy edibles from Big Dick Tony Schiavone. And I think Big Dick Tony Schiavone was speaking about the kind of edibles that make you go sleepy poos like Matthew did at StarCast last year. If you know, you know. But I don't know about you sat at home, but I did not realise that when I flicked on this week's AEW Dynamite, I would be learning that Tony Schiavone distributes the drugs. Whew. But then we learned via Le Broadcast Journaliste, Chris Jericho, that yes, as we all knew, Penelope and Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc and that lovely little dog, they all live together in a flat somewhere. But Le Grande Scoop from Le Broadcast Journaliste, Chris Jericho, came when we learned that while Penelope and Kip Sabian have a lovely big bedroom, Jimmy Havoc lives in a box. That's the moment. That was it. And I've got to take exception to Big Dick Tony calling Shawn Spears that lost to Cody Rhodes on last week's Dynamite aside, of course, but Big Dick Tony Schiavone called Shawn Spears red hot after losing 8 matches in a row. And yes, I do realise a lot of those matches were tag team bouts, but still, Shawn Spears was on the losing side of those matches. Shawn Spears has only won 3 of his last 4 matches. A couple of those have been on Dark, and one was against Shawn Dean. Now, no offence, Shawn Dean, but one of those wins was against Shawn Dean. Instead of being red hot, Big Dick Tony Schiavone, I'd suggest that Shawn Spears has just been put into a lovely preheated oven set to around 200 degrees Celsius. And then Big Dick claimed that next week on Dynamite we're going to see 2 more semi-final matches. Quarterfinals, Tony, quarterfinals. And then we saw Jon Moxley's thighs hidden behind some camo shorts. It would appear that Jon Moxley has heard Justin Roberts say Jan outside in the sunshine a bit too often, that he thinks he is actually a different John Cena. Now, I don't want to be that guy, but this job and this crappy video series sometimes means I have to be. But the camera shot used there, right at the end of Jon Moxley versus Jake Hager, makes it look like Mr. Hager completely missed the chair altogether by about that much. I don't know about you, but it ruined it for me. Use different camera shots, man. You had time to edit it. And we've got to end things with a penultimately sobering WTF moment surrounding Jim Ross. Yes, Pearl Harbor reference aside, there were no WTF moments, as far as I could hear, from Jim Ross during that Jake Hager versus Jon Moxley match. And that is unbelievable, Jeff. And I was thinking, coming out of this match, just like The Undertaker, everything Jim Ross does in professional wrestling from here on out needs to be pre-recorded and edited so Jim Ross can sound as great as Jim Ross always has done. Editing's great, man. Do it more for Jim. And then we end all these WTF moments from last night's AEW Dynamite with a direct quote from Shakespeare himself, Mr. Jon Moxley, when he said, "The balls, right in the balls, right in the balls." I've been Ross Twaddell from Cultaholic.com. You've been a sexual wank pheasant. thank you for watching these AEW WTF moments from this week's Dynamite. Remember, right in the balls, right in the balls. Please make sure you take care of your balls. I feel like Roy Walker off catchphrase at the minute, which means I'm rambling and talking utter bollocks. See you next time, everybody.